MissingNo from Wikipedia, the free encyclopedia, at en.wikipedia.org. MissingNo. Notes 1. Short for missing number, and sometimes spelled without the period. Top is a glitch in an unofficial glitched Pokemon species found in the video games Pokemon Red and Blue. Due to the programming of certain in-game events, players can encounter MissingNo via a glitch. It is noted as one of the most famous video game glitches of all time. Encountering MissingNo causes graphical anomalies, and changes gameplay by increasing the number of items in the 6th entry of the player's inventory by 128. This beneficial effect resulted in the glitch's coverage by strategy guides and game magazines, while game publisher Nintendo warned that encountering the glitch may corrupt players' game data. IGN noted MissingNo's appearance in Pokemon Red and Blue was one of the most famous video game glitches and commented on its role increasing the series' popularity. Fans have attempted to rationalize and incorporate MissingNo as part of the game's canon as an actual in-game character, and sociologists have studied its impact on both players and gaming culture as a whole. Additionally, references to the glitch and the circumstances around it have also appeared in other games, such as Vampire Survivors and The Binding of Isaac. Section 1. History. Developed by Game Freak and published by Nintendo, the Pokemon series began in Japan in 1996 with the release of the Pokemon Red and Blue video games for the Game Boy. In these games, the player assumes the role of a Pokemon trainer whose goal is to capture and train creatures called Pokemon. Players use the creatures' special abilities to combat other Pokemon, and certain abilities also grant new ways to navigate the game's world, such as instantaneous travel between two areas. The ultimate goal of the games is to complete the entries in the Pokemon Index, Pokédex, a comprehensive Pokemon encyclopedia, by capturing, evolving, and training to obtain creatures from all 151 Pokemon species. MissingNo is not one of the official Pokemon species that players are meant to encounter, but it is accessible to players who have obtained European and North American copies of the games by a glitch. Nintendo of America first documented the events that caused MissingNo to appear in the May 1999 issue of Nintendo Power. The company warned that any contact with it, even if you don't catch it, could easily erase your game file or disrupt your graphics. Game developers did not remove several glitches from the 2016 re-releases of Pokemon Red and Blue on the Nintendo 3DS Virtual Console, and players can encounter MissingNo in these versions of the games. Section 2. Characteristics. Image. The player using a Pokemon to surf on the eastern shore of Cinnabar Island, a key component for activating the glitch. A player can encounter a MissingNo in Pokemon Red and Blue by following a series of steps. First, the player watches an in-game tutorial for Pokemon capture in the game's Viridian City location. Second, the player uses a Pokemon with the fly ability to instantly travel to the game's Cinnabar Island location. Finally, the player uses a Pokemon with a surf ability to travel up and down on the eastern shore of the island until a MissingNo appears. These events manipulate the game's random encounter system to generate a Pokemon with an invalid identifier. Each area within the game assigns values to a data buffer to represent the Pokemon that can be encountered in that area. However, some areas, such as Cinnabar Island, do not override the data in this buffer, so this data from the previous area is used instead. During the Viridian City in-game tutorial, the player character's name is temporarily overridden to read Old Man, and the player character's actual name is temporarily copied to the same data buffer. If the player travels directly to Cinnabar Island after viewing this tutorial, the player character's name will be read as a Pokemon that can be randomly encountered in that area. Due to the player character's name not being intended to be read as this kind of data, the game can attempt to generate an encounter with a Pokemon with an invalid identifier, such as MissingNo. Fans have dubbed this method of encountering MissingNo the Old Man glitch. As with any wild Pokemon, players may flee from, fight, or capture MissingNo. After an encounter with MissingNo, the quantity of the 6th item in the player's inventory is changed to 128, and the game's Hall of Fame Pokemon Gallery becomes glitched. Temporary graphical glitches may also occur, which can be removed by viewing the statistics page for another non-glitched Pokemon or resetting the console. A captured MissingNo is functional as a Pokemon and appears in the game's Pokédex as number 000. The games classify as a hybrid bird/normal-type Pokemon, even though the category of a bird-type Pokemon was cut from the games before release. It commonly appears with a scrambled block-like form, commonly described as a backward L shape. But depending on the player character's name, it can appear as one of 3 ghost or fossil sprites not used by other Pokemon. Section 3. Reaction and Reception. Calling MissingNo a programming quirk, Nintendo warned against encountering it, saying players could possibly have to restart the game from the beginning to remove the graphical glitches. Despite Nintendo's warning, information on how to encounter MissingNo was printed in several magazines and players' guides due to its perceived positive effect. Certain players attempted to sell tips on capturing MissingNo for up to $200. Despite it not being an intentional part of the game, in 2009, IGN included MissingNo in its list of the top video game Easter eggs, citing its usefulness in replicating the game's rarer items, and in a later article, calling it an unforgettable glitch that helped push the original games to gaming superstardom. The book 100 Greatest Video Game Characters describes MissingNo as an example of a player-produced character and counterplay, adding, as a cultural artifact, MissingNo celebrates the creativity of deviant and subversive forms of play. Some fans have even created costumes based on MissingNo. Several sociological studies have been published examining MissingNo alongside other famous video game glitches on how they impact the player's perception of the game. A 2007 paper, co-authored by sociologist William Sims Bainbridge and his daughter, Wilma Bainbridge, then a cognitive science student, refers to MissingNo as one of the most popular glitches ever in game history. In a 2019 comment provided to Ars Technica, Wilma Bainbridge, then a postdoctoral fellow at the National Institute of Mental Health, expressed her belief that MissingNo helped contribute to the widespread interest in glitch hunting and speedrunning in video games. Alternatively, in the book Pikachu's Global Adventure, The Rise and Fall of Pokemon, Professor of Education Julian Sefton Green noticed that in his study of his son's reaction to MissingNo's usage as a cheat, the child's outlook towards the game was altered drastically, and added that the essence of such elements, as a result, broke the illusion of the game as an enclosed world and reminded him that, at heart, it is a computer program. The 2008 book, Playing with Video Games, discusses how players compare notes on MissingNo, and to assess and critique each other's findings. James Newman, the author, commented that unusually MissingNo caused players to celebrate the game's imperfections. In a 2017 article, University of Portsmouth professor Lincoln Garrity examined fan theories that the glitch was a cub Pokemon, related to the Pokemon Kangaskhan and Cubone, describing the theory as an established work of fanon. He further elaborated in a 2019 Ars Technica article that fans' desire to incorporate MissingNo into the Pokemon world stems partly from a hope that the glitch may have been deliberate, as well as to compensate for the glitch's lack of backstory within Pokemon canon. In the same article, Newman argued that the existence of such fan theories reveals a belief in the fundamental reality of Pokemon as entities that are given an opportunity to show themselves through the game, rather than being constructed out of code. The game Vampire Survivors added a playable character named MissingNo, which featured randomized stats and a glitched graphical appearance. Originally only unlockable by modifying the game's code, a method was later added requiring the player to enter a glitched location and kill at least 128 of the enemies that spawn there as another reference to the original glitch. MissingNo is also referenced in the game The Binding of Isaac as MissingNo, an item that will randomize other items found on each level of the game, as well as their attributes while held. Section 4. References. Section 5. Notes. Section 6. Further reading. Section 7. External links. Video Games Portal. This sound file and all text in the article are licensed under the Creative Commons Attribution Share Alike 3.0 Unported License. Available at creativecommons.org/licenses/by-SA/3.0.